Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing? Yeah, good. Oh, thank you for responding, because usually people are quiet at that point and then it's awkward for everyone. So, welcome to the second ever Lit in Colour Student Conference, held in partnership with Penguin Books. What's that? Sorry, it's early morning. Lit in Colour was founded in 2020 by publisher Penguin and race equality think tank Runnymede Trust to support UK schools to make the teaching and learning of English literature more inclusive of writers of colour. We have a really exciting lineup for you today with people whose careers in literature has taken them to industries far and wide. We have broadcasters, educators, poets, actors, and more. So this morning we're going to be joined by Iona Mandal, Jeffrey Bachi, and Wendy Lennon, before heading off for our lunch break. Afterwards, we're going to be joined by Yomi Sade and Akia Henry, and then the day will be closed out by poetry readings from Iona Mandal. So you might be wondering who I am. I'm your host. My name is Sofia Akel, and I'm going to be hosting today's conference. So I'm a writer, a producer, cultural historian, and founder of the Free Books campaign. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what literature has done for me in my life and why I will always have a love of reading. So I discovered a love of reading when I was little. So everyone, I assume, has seen Matilda. Yeah? Okay, thank you. Thank you. You know that scene where she goes to the library and she has that little trolley like full of books? I was like, I want to do that. Except I didn't have the trolley, but there was a library across the street from me. So I used to go and just get like piles of books and take them out and just try and read as many as I could over the summer. And they had like summer reading competitions, and then they would come into your school and you'd get a medal, so you get to like have some bragging rights for a little bit at school. It all worked out because it just meant that I was encouraged to read more, and I'd get through loads of books every summer. So fast forward, in 2020, I started a non-profit called the Free Books campaign, which basically is a campaign that gets books by authors of colour to people that can't afford to access them for free. And it's completely built on trust, and all you have to do is just reach out and you'll get sent a book. So we're all about closing the gap of access to literature and increasing the amount of book ownership. So literature has quite literally shaped my life. So it gave me a vocabulary for the words and emotions that I wouldn't have been able to articulate otherwise, gave me a place to escape to when I was younger, even today as an adult. It teaches me about different cultures, customs, and languages, makes me a better writer, and so much more. The possibilities are really endless for what literature can do for you. And a love of literature has taken me from reading as a child, wanting to be Matilda, to working on films, podcasts, music videos, and working with UK rap and grime artists. So honestly, as I said, the avenues are really and truly endless. So welcome to the conference. Let's clap ourselves for coming here this early in the morning. And let's just say, can we also give a round of applause to our BSL interpreter, Grace? So first up, we have Iona Mandal, 17-year-old. Iona Mandal is a Year 12 student and Birmingham Young Poet Laureate for 2022 to 2024. That is incredible. She started writing poetry when she was 8 years old and is a recipient of the Elmert Trust Ted Hughes Young Poetry Award of 2016, the Foyles Young Poet Award 2020, and the Tower Poetry Prize 2023. As Youth Ambassador and Literacy Champion, West Midlands for the National Literacy Trust, Iona was nominated in May 2023 for the Royal Voluntary Services Coronation Champions Award. Iona pursues Grade 8 verse and prose speaking with the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art. In 2020, she performed at Shakespeare's Globe as finalist for the Poetry by Heart competition. In her spare time, Iona audio records for the Birmingham Talking newspaper, for the visually impaired, and volunteers in the National Trust bookshop. She'll be reading her poems to the end of the day, but to start, she's going to read her award-winning short story.
Hi everyone, I'm Iona. I'm really excited to be here today representing young South Asian women, but also to share a platform with so many amazing speakers that we'll hear later on today. But today I'm going to be reading a story which is really close to my heart because it was selected as a Key Stage 5 winner for Pearson's My Twist on a Tale writing competition. The story is written from my personal experience and it tackles themes of representation, so I thought that would be really perfect to read today. So this is Belonging. She sat at the back of the class, head down, pencil wedged firmly between her fingers. Her single long braid touched the back of her chair. She was happy to be here. It was time for her favorite subject, English. A seemingly unpopular choice for most students who despised the sandstorm of words and punctuation which got trapped within their unknowing eyelids, forcing them into a dull mid-morning doze. Language analysis, poetry, Shakespeare, they hated it all. But to her, words seemed an escape, the orifice in the middle of each O, a portal to another dimension, the heavy dip in each U, an encapsulating trench. However, there was only one barrier she felt in each lesson, a tiny obstacle that seemed to hinder the maximum amount of rapture she had the potential to feel. It was the way she was unrepresented, unknown and unrecognized, equivalent to the tittle of each letter I or the demeaning full stops that concluded each sentence. Every book she studied, each piece of text seemed to cater specifically for people she had nothing in common with. These were mostly written by authors who most of the time tried to accommodate the majority, while leaving thousands of smaller and equally rich cultures like hers forgotten and uncelebrated. Just in time, her English teacher strolled in, her brisk, high-heeled footsteps culling the last of her thoughts. In her hand, she held a navy blue lever arch folder, along with 30 photocopies of the book extract the girls were to study today, in preparation for their GCSE English language exams. Swiftly greeting the class and introducing the lesson, she asked one of the girls to hand out the extracts, which she did quickly. Suddenly, a half-creased paper was slapped on the desk in front of her, with a two-worded title like a claw, grasping her attention. Brick Lane, Monica Ali. Brick Lane in East London, home to a large Bangladeshi community, bursting with Bangladeshi shops and restaurants. The place from where she had bought her first Bangla book as a child to learn to read and write her mother tongue. She gasped in utter disbelief. All her life, she had been reading extracts from books she had never identified with. And now, suddenly, she had discovered an entire book which was set in the very borough she once lived in. It all seemed too good to be true, almost as if a lie in front of her face. Here was a Bangladeshi British woman who had a story to tell. With more vigor than ever before, she highlighted each language device, each metaphor, juxtaposition, and pathetic fallacy. She raised her hand for each question, spewing words from her own experiences, the ink from her pen flowing with more fluidity this time. Never in her life had she felt so recognized. Eyes glinting as she read the contextual terminology, gazed at the curlicues of her mother tongue, plastered on the whiteboard. She remembered the stories she had heard, stories of colonizers invading her motherland, picking and choosing elements of her culture which they liked best, but when it came to her own family moving here, they had felt utterly mismatched. One of the nation's favorite foods may be the chicken tikka masala, but back in the late 90s, when her mother had crossed the road wearing a sari and bindi, she had been insulted to her face. Of course, things had got better, prejudice getting less noticeable by the day, but she had never felt like she truly belonged. The other girls in her class had grown up watching TV shows that cast characters they could connect to. Those who ate the same food as them, wore the same clothes and spoke the same language. The only characters that she had ever related to were merely stereotypes, mimicking and subtly mocking her culture rather than appreciating it. Those made primarily for white audiences, by white people, for white people to make fun of. As the lesson ended, a new vault within her had been unsealed. The words which she had been saying inside her head for so many years had finally been unclouded, as if to materialize in the mist. It was like hearing a voice, not being able to decipher what it meant, and suddenly, almost magic-like, mustering the courage to take it out into the open. The bell rang, signaling the end of period 1. It was the start of break time. Her English teacher seemed impatient to leave, hurriedly gathering her papers and shoving them into her folder as they spilled out over the edge. She felt the moment had arrived. She had to say what she had been yearning so long for the world to hear. Everyone in class knew her as the reticent, introspective one, but now she would make herself heard. And so she spoke. "Miss, sorry to stop you, but I had something to say. Thank you for including a more culturally diverse book in the English curriculum. Nothing in the entire world makes me happier than seeing my own culture recognized. I have spent all my life feeling ashamed, but today I feel celebrated. For those who may think that studying these books is futile, always remember the solitary girl in class will feel heard from the words you read off the page." Just a while before, my British friend sitting next to me told me how she wished she knew to speak another language. It makes my heart swell in pride that I have managed to make the tables turn. I hope that in the future, more cultures are recognized, represented, and celebrated. In a way, I feel selfish to be complaining when so many other regions in this world are starving from underrepresentation. But please continue to do what you are doing, miss, for this is right. Each person deserves a place in this world, a place to belong.